These are the biggest mistakes I made in e-commerce, and if I could go back 10 years and start over, knowing what I know now, I would. To be in the top 1% of business, you really gotta have your shit together.
Watch your profanity.
You don't just wanna go jumping and watching all those videos of I started selling on Amazon and I did it for a month and this is my result. If you follow those videos and watch these guys literally try and fail at something they have no experience with, you're only gonna end up in a worse position than when you started. The reality is running and scaling an Amazon business until it's profitable isn't that difficult. You just need to have the right resources and guidance. So I started my first business in 2012, affiliate marketing, and I failed for 2 years. And when I found e-commerce, it's when I finally ended up doing something that made me money. I made my first dollar online. Since 2014, when I actually started to make e-commerce work, I've done over $10 million in revenue selling on Amazon and almost $2 million in net profit, all the way to now in 2023. Learning from other failures or having you guys learn from my failures is gonna be one of the biggest takeaways from this video. The best advice anyone could give you is helping you avoid the mistakes and navigating the roadblocks and hurdles of building a business and becoming successful. These are some of the things that normally people learn the hard way. They go through the trenches building the business and they go through all the really difficult stuff themselves like I did. But being able to reiterate that and give that to someone on a silver platter and say, these are the things you need to avoid and these are the things you need to do, it's gotta be some of the most valuable information you could ever get from somebody who's done well in a business you wanna do yourself. So if you've made any of the mistakes I name in this video, I'm gonna need you to like the video. If you've made at least 50% of the mistakes I'm gonna go over this video, I'm gonna need you to subscribe so I can help you out. So as I said in the beginning of the video, I first started my entrepreneurship journey or starting to build my own business in 2012. I tried to do affiliate marketing and I thought everybody selling a course or charging for mentorship or guidance was a scammer. Now being on both sides of the fence, to someone who started out on my own with no mentorship and guidance, and then I eventually did finally pay a mentor, to now being a mentor and teaching others, if I could go back 12 years ago, knowing what I know now, I would have been able to succeed if I was willing to pay someone to teach me what works now and what to avoid. Because I wasn't willing to pay somebody and I wasn't willing to put the money in my investment into someone guiding me, I made 0 sales in affiliate marketing. I literally sold no products. I had $600 worth of these health products that I ordered, and 2 years later, I still had the crap sitting in my basement, and by then it was literally expired. So that was $600 wasted. I spent all that money. I tried to run a Facebook ad. I tried to all these different things I tried doing, creating Craigslist listings, and you can pay for there's paid memberships on Craigslist. And I kept reaching out to people saying, hey, can you guide me? Can you show me how to do what you're doing? Can you give me some tips building this affiliate business? And I'm reaching out to people that were clearly doing well, and they're like, who are you and what do I owe you? Why should I be helping you? If anything, pay me. And I'm like, pay you? That's a scam. Why would I pay you? Meanwhile, they're a millionaire or they've made tons of money with the business, and I'm just this bum trying to start my first business with no money, asking for help for free. Now that I look back, I probably look pretty foolish and stupid trying to ask people for help for free, knowing that these people probably put in years of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears and effort to get where they're at, only to have some leech like myself coming and saying, hey, you should help me for free. I want to be rich like you. Make me rich. This is the mentality that a lot of people still have, and I see it today. That is going to be the mindset that literally takes you nowhere in life, thinking I want a handout, people need to teach me for free. And yes, there's a lot of valuable information you can get online for free or for very cheap or from YouTube videos, but having the bulk of a business model that works right now, right? Fast forward to right now and say, I need something that works now. I want it to work now. I need it to work now. You got to pay somebody for that. Otherwise, what are you giving them in return? Another mistake that I made back then was I actually went to school for entrepreneurship. I went for the 1 year, cost me almost 15 grand. And I literally learned the origins of www. And also, I also learned how to write a business letter. Very lame. I mean, I could have learned that for free probably, how to write a business letter. And literally where www came from is literally a Google search away. And I want to make 6 million a year. Learning from a guy that makes 60 grand a year reading out of a textbook, probably not going to help me. But this is literally how everyone's taught when they're young through high school. And to me, it's absolute bullshit. Another mistake that I made was not allocating as much money to the business as I could have. So when I first started selling on eBay and Amazon, and I ended up paying for a course. First check mark, the first good thing I did was pay someone to teach me what works right then and there. And 2 weeks later, I made my first sale on eBay. It's funny because the item that I sold, because I'm colorblind, and I don't know if you know this or not, I sold a Disney Princess Castle as my first item, and I sold it to the listing as blue. So when I looked at the listing, I listed it as blue. I thought it was blue, and then when the customer got it, they said, this is purple. I'm returning this. That was my first sale, and my very first sale I got a return on. I was so close to giving up. I literally thought to myself that night, I'm f***ing giving up. I'm done. I can't do this. My very first sale and it's already screwed. I was like going through all this stuff in my head, like clearly entrepreneurship's not for me. Luckily, I did not give up because I made another sale the next day. Before I was able to like close my eBay store down, I sold another item and it was not that Disney princess castle, luckily, because that would have been another return. It gave me a little bit of a confidence boost. I'm like, you know what? I'll just stick it out for like another week, another 2 weeks. After a few weeks, I started to make regular sales, like a couple sales every week, which isn't crazy. If you can sell it once, you can sell it a million times. And that is the tip of the iceberg for me and the tipping point of me wanting to give up from having a return on my first sale because I'm colorblind to selling a couple more items and making money. And guess what? In the first month, I made more than the cost of the course back. I paid $20 for the course. I think I made like 35 bucks in that first month. And I'm also in the green. Now I'm in profit. So that was one of the right things I did. The worst thing I could have done would have been to give up after having that first return, because today I've done over $10 million in sales and about $2 million bucks in profit from selling on eBay and Amazon, mostly Amazon. And I wouldn't have been able to do any of that if I had given up. I also wouldn't have been able to help thousands of people build their own businesses because I've been teaching since 2016. 5 years later, I'm seeing people message me saying, thank you so much for everything you've done for me and teaching me. So let's backtrack to the mistake I made of not allocating as much money as I could to the business. So in the beginning, I had a $500 credit card and no cash. So I didn't really have money to allocate to the business then, but after about 6 months of using that credit card regularly for eBay and Amazon, I got an increase to about $3,000 from CIBC Bank. And in the beginning, I actually didn't allocate all of that to the business. I actually had bills to pay and my job wasn't paying me enough. Now, if I would have manned up and started to take more hours from my job so my job could fully pay all my bills, I had a really old car. I had a 97 Buick LeSabre and I had some issues with the car and I had to pay for like wheel bearing, sway bar. Now that thing never let me down in terms of driving. The engine never failed. That thing just kept going, but it did break down like small parts. But I remember this one time I had to pay about $500 or $600 in parts for the car and I didn't have it, so I had to take it off that credit card. And that credit card was the lifeline to my e-commerce business. So if I would have just manned up and worked more at the job, even though I hated the job I had, if I would have just went in for an extra few days and made the money to pay for the car, I could have kept the money for the business. And carrying over the next few months after my first 6 months in business, same thing, because I also got an increase from $3,000 to $8,000. And I found myself using my credit card for living expenses because I just wasn't making enough money with the job. If I was to work more hours at the job, I would have been able to cover that. The mistake I made was quitting my job too early. If I kept the job, that was just extra income, right? All the money I was getting from it, and I was only working 3 or 4 days a week. So later on down the line in building my business, about 1.5 years or 2 years in, I thought I was balling. So I went out and I got a newer car. At the time, I had a $500 junker and it was doing me just fine. But I thought, hey, you know what? I need to elevate. I'm self-employed. I make more than my job was paying me, even though I still wasn't making a lot of money. And I went from a $500 car to a $6,000 car. The problem and the mistake I made there was I got this Jeep Liberty and it was $600 a month. I was only making like $3,000. So I was giving up 20% of my monthly income. 20% is a lot. If you're making $30,000 a month, that's $6,000. 6 G's a month, $70,000 a year. You'd be giving up for what? What was it for? For me, it was for a car, giving up 20% of my income. So that was another thing that slowed me down big time because now I have this huge expense. And in the first 14 months, this absolute pile of junk, I paid about $6,000 for it. And in the first 12 months, I paid another $6,000 in fixing the piece of crap. I had steering column, wheel bearings, struts. I had alternator, AC pump. I had almost every single part that could fail on a car other than the transmission and the engine friggin' fail on this thing. If I would have just kept the $500 Buick LeSabre, I probably would have done an oil change and changed the tires once more over the next year or two. And that was a huge mistake because that really slowed me down. So that other mistake was using my credit card to pay my bills and quitting my job too early. Those are some serious mistakes that slowed down my progress tremendously. If I would have just manned up and kept the job longer, if I would have picked up some more hours so I could have covered and paid for all these things in my life, I would have been able to do better faster. So long story short, I hope the mistakes that I've made you can learn from. This is just a little bit of what I've been through. Now, obviously, if you want me to be your mentor and you want me to guide you and help you build your business and help you skip those roadblocks, and avoid the same mistakes that I've made, just let me know. You can drop a comment below. You can also send me a message or email me by going to the supremecommercetraining.com website. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like my videos, and I will see you next time.